Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining me for the video today. I greatly appreciate it. In it, I want to take a look at some of the teams that did not make the playoffs in 2021. And I want to go over my top 10 list of which of those have a chance to make it in 2022. Now, this list is not in any particular order. I'm going to review both some AFC and NFC teams, give you guys my takes on those teams who could improve and make it to the dance. But before we get into that, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for being here today. Please consider giving me a like and a subscribe. The support is so very appreciated. It helps me out a ton. It enables me to do what I love so I can keep bringing you guys the content that you love. With that done, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. We are gonna start in the AFC with one of my favorite dark horse contenders, the Miami Dolphins. Now in 2021, they were 9-8, but they started 1-7, so they completely turned it around and made a run. They would have been the first team in NFL history, I believe, to get to the playoffs after that low of a start. Now, some key changes that happened that are gonna help them to potentially get to the playoffs. Of course, that big trade for Tyreek Hill. I just dropped a video on that, so go check that out if you haven't seen it already. It's a good deep dive on both teams and that trade as a whole. They also signed left tackle Teron Armstead, one of the studs from New Orleans, and right guard Connor Williams, above average. He played for Dallas. Now, Miami is clearly doing everything that they can to make things easier for Tua Tagovailoa, point blank. Everything they've done in the offseason is to address the idea of figuring out if he is the future of the franchise. There's going to be no excuses and nowhere to hide for Tua after this upcoming season, for better or for worse. They started with the work up front where the offensive line issues were blatantly apparent. The Dolphins' offensive line ranked dead last in the NFL according to PFF, so they did something about it. Adding Armstead and Williams are big-time upgrades for Miami, and they're going to give Tua a chance to maybe take a 3-step drop and not get creamed. The Fins also focused on that backfield as well. They upgraded a bottom 3 rushing offense by going out and getting Chase Edmonds and Speed Demon, when he's actually healthy, that is, Raheem Mostert. Tack on Alex Ingold to help open up lanes, and this offense would have already been significantly upgraded. Then they go to the cherry on top. Miami paid a king's ransom and broke the bank on top of it to pair Jaylen Waddle with Tyreek Hill, and that gives the Dolphins the fastest wide receiver combination in the entire league. Those two are going to create matchup nightmares in the secondary and allow Tua to have some easy completions with run after the catch potential. Miami has everything that it needs to get to the playoffs for the first time since 2016 and perhaps even get a playoff win for the first time since Y2K. Yeah, it's been a while. The next team on my list are the Chargers of Los Angeles, who also finished with a 9-8 record. They traded for Khalil Mack in the offseason, got him from the Bears, and also signed the best cornerback available and one of the best in the league in J.C. Jackson. The Chargers were not merely content to run it back with a team that came within seconds of a playoff berth. Instead, they went and swung for the fences, bringing in Mack and Jackson, 2 studs at their respective positions. Now, I know that Khalil Mack is not what he used to be, not what he was, but he is going to form a formidable duo with Joey Bosa. They're going to strike terror into opposing quarterbacks. For LA to get J.C. Jackson added to this already elite secondary is just plain scary. The Chargers also got some much needed help in the interior defensive line, which was their biggest weakness in 2021. It was one of the worst rush defenses in the league. Los Angeles has a pair of great receivers in Keenan Allen and newly re-signed wide receiver Mike Williams, and one of the best multi-threat weapons in the NFL in Austin pound-for-pound Eckler. He can do a little bit of everything at a very high level. That just leaves us with Justin Herbert, and if he can take another step forward, and there's really no reason to think that he won't do just that, LA is going to be a really tough team to beat. Their biggest competition could actually come from within their own division, as the AFC West leveled up as a whole this offseason. Next, we move to Cleveland and the Browns, who finished 2021 with an 8-9 record. They obviously made the biggest move in all of the offseason, going out and getting quarterback Deshaun Watson. They also picked up wide receiver Amari Cooper to pair him with. Now, a lot of what Cleveland does in 2022 is going to hinge on that legal situation of Deshaun Watson. But for now, I'm just going to assume that he's a starter from the Browns for day one without suspension, as unlikely as that might be. Strictly talking football and nothing else. Watson is a top 5 talent at the position. He possesses rare traits and ability, and it's one of my favorite players to watch on the football field. I love that Cleveland bet the farm on him, though I understand the haters of it, and I hope that he can pay off that good faith with some big time playoff wins for the city. The Amari Cooper theft from Dallas gives Watson an excellent weapon on the outside, and I am a believer in their number 2 receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Michigan, who came on a bit at the end of last season. The Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt pairing in the backfield could be the NFL's best. The Browns have a solid offensive line and the potential for one of the top defenses in the league, if they can put that all together, that is. Their head coach can handle a locker room, and he has helped rebuild the culture there in Cleveland. There are no glaring weaknesses that I can see for this team. I expect them to once again be in the playoff hunt at the end of the year, and really it's only Roger Goodell who can stop them. The next team on my list is the Baltimore Ravens, who finished 2021 at 8-9. Some of the key changes are coming in and signing cornerback Marcus Williams and right tackle Morgan Moses. They also brought back Michael Pierce, the defensive tackle, and hallelujah, J.K. Dobbins, the running back, is healthy and will return. Now, Baltimore isn't even on this list, if not for the seemingly endless list of injuries that they sustained last season. But we know that that's part of the game. Lamar Jackson is as electric as they come, and he really had something going with Hollywood Brown before he went down. I expect that that connection is going to continue and blossom further into something special. Mark Andrews now belongs in that Travis Kelce and George Kittle conversation. Don't at me. Now, even though I think he's sitting a little bit below them, just maybe a smidge, he is absolutely fantastic, and he could get there with another great season like he had in 2021. I do not say this lightly, but potentially one of the biggest returns from injury in the entire NFL is going to be running back J.K. Dobbins, who is about to go nuclear on the NFL before going down in the preseason. I expect a monster year from the young rusher, both toting the rock and catching it out of the backfield. He's going to change the dynamics of this offense completely and make Lamar Jackson that much harder to deal with. While the defense in Baltimore started slow, like real slow, they picked it up as the season went on, especially up front. They are likely to still struggle in the secondary a little bit. I don't think there's a question about that, but there is no reason to think that Baltimore does not make a push for a playoff ticket. That rushing defense ended up being one of the top 3 in the entire NFL, and it will be fierce once again. With some luck, they could push Cincinnati for the division. To Denver, where the Broncos sputtered a little bit to end the year. They finished 2021 at 7-10. A couple key changes we know about that giant trade to go out and get quarterback Russell Wilson. They also signed edge rusher Randy Gregory from Dallas and defensive tackle DJ Jones from the San Francisco 49ers. Rare is the occasion when a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback switches teams in his prime, at least the back end of it. Denver took advantage of the Seahawks' futility to make their star signal caller happy and went all in to make sure that he was. I do not mind the price that they paid, as hefty as it was. Wilson automatically gives you a chance to win any game, and he inherits one of the deepest wide receiver cores in the entire league. Though they lack a true number 1 receiver, at least to this point, they have 3 wide receivers who could be number 2s on most rosters in the league. Javonte Williams is a star who is maybe still in the making, but he started to get there at the end of last season, and he's about to show the NFL what he can do as the guy after he gave us that sneak peek. This offense is going to do a complete 180 from last year if Denver learned from Seattle's mistakes and they let Russ cook. The defense is solid here. Randy Gregory and DJ Jones is only going to add to that. Now, it might be a little bit of a gamble as far as the Randy Gregory signing, but after going out and getting Wilson, you might as well roll the dice. Jones dares you to run the ball when he is in the game, and spoiler alert, things usually don't go so well when you try. The Broncos are gonna compete each and every week. My last AFC team on the list is the Indianapolis Colts, who finished at 9-8 after that absolutely embarrassing loss to Jacksonville pretty much took them out of the running. They went and got quarterback Matt Ryan to replace Carson Wentz, and they also signed edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue. Now, I'm not sure how much of an upgrade Matt Ryan is over Carson Wentz, but I like the move nonetheless. Wentz simply could not get it done with an elite offensive line, elite defense, the best running back in the game, and an emerging elite wide receiver on the outside. Enough said. Ryan will be a steady force with an MVP and playoff experience under his belt, and he should help get the culture in Indy back to where it needs to be. I'm excited to see what he's capable of doing with both Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman as options, and I think he has a really good chance to succeed here. With Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner dominating defenders, the Colts defense should once again be near the top of the league. They've just got to be able to get through Tennessee. To the NFC, where I'm going to start with my Minnesota Vikings, who are 8-9 in 2021. They went out and signed edge rusher Zadarius Smith from Green Bay. They also got defensive tackle Harrison Phillips and linebacker Jordan Hicks from the Cardinals. Another big piece of this is tight end Irv Smith returning from injury. He missed the entire year after getting hurt in the preseason. So once again, I enter a season cautiously optimistic as a Minnesota Vikings fan. Imagine that. Minnesota's defense was a train wreck in 2021. I am not gonna mince words. So things can only get better from here, right? Let's hope. A little injury luck would certainly help, as will the signing of Zadarius Smith. If he and Danielle Hunter can stay healthy, they're going to be a fierce duo for opposing teams to have to deal with. Harrison Phillips will improve a below average, at best, run defense, and if nothing else, Jordan Hicks does not miss games. He can captain the front seven, and he makes tackles. I will buy that. Clearly the fun in Minnesota is on the offensive side of the ball with Justin Jet Jefferson, who followed up one of the greatest rookie campaigns in NFL history with an epic encore performance. We also got Adam, I'm hooked on a Thielen, who still has it. I don't care what you say. When you tack on the return of Irv Smith, who's gonna cause issues in the middle of the field, and then you got Dalvin Cook, who is as explosive and dangerous as they come, the best part of this is that the Vikings are finally free of the old school prison that was also known as Mike Zimmer. New head coach Kevin O'Connell has the ability to immediately elevate this offense. With these weapons, the sky really is the limit for a team that already ranked in the top 12 in points, yards, and yards per play in 2021. The optimist in me wants to believe the Vikings have a legitimate shot at unseating the Packers for that NFC North crown. Now to Washington with the Commanders, who finished 2021 at 7-10. They went out and traded for quarterback Carson Wentz. They also signed left guard Andrew Norwell from Jacksonville. The Commanders feel like Carson Wentz is their guy. I'm not exactly sure why, but they do. They overpaid to get him too, but what's done is done. Wentz should improve the quarterback play in Washington, so that is a plus. He's got some really good weapons to utilize as well. Terry McLaurin is coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and if he can build some week-to-week consistency into his game, he could really take off. Maybe Wentz helps in that regard. Antonio Gibson, he is about to boom. You heard it here first. And J.D. McKissic is an underrated number 2 back that plays that Swiss Army knife role to perfection. If we get Washington's second half defense in 2021 for most or all of 2022, the Commanders are at least going to be competitive in a weak NFC East. 9 games was enough for one NFC team last year, and the Commanders could get there if things break right. The New Orleans Saints barely missed the playoffs last year. They were 9-8 in 2021, and they really couldn't do a whole lot in free agency as salary cap hell hit them hard. They were, however, able to bring in safety Marcus May, and the biggest thing here is the return of wide receiver Michael Thomas. The Saints are going to rely heavily on that elite top 5 defense and hope that Jameis Winston can keep the turnover bug out of his bed. And it's not exactly the worst strategy in the world. It had him at 5-1 before the injury bug decided to enter the sheets instead in 2021. I still don't know what they're going to do with Taysom Hill, and in fact, I am pretty sure that the Saints don't even know what they're going to do with Taysom Hill, but he can make a play or two that impacts a game at times. If Alvin Kamara can stay out of trouble and Michael Thomas can just stop being grumpy, the Saints have all that they need to put up points. Jokes aside, Kamara is a problem anytime he touches the ball and single-handedly carried the Saints on offense last year. And while we haven't seen prime Thomas since 2019, even if we get 80% of what he was, it would still make him a true number 1 wide receiver in this league. Dennis Allen provides some continuity as the new head coach has been in the Saints organization for 12 seasons. New Orleans is not going to challenge the Bucs for the NFC South. I think that is outside the realm of possibilities, but a wild card berth is certainly on the table once again. The final team on my list resides in Chicago, where the Bears went just 6-11 last year. Some key changes were the signing of defensive tackle Justin Jones and left guard Lucas Patrick. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I had to fight really hard to try to find an argument for 4 NFC teams that could push for a playoff spot that were not there in 2021. It is just that top heavy in 2022. But here it goes. The Bears had their issues last year with 6 wins, that's apparent, but the majority of those were on the offensive side of the ball. Matt Nagy was a detriment not only to the team in general, but to the development of Justin Fields. At times, it even felt like he was trying to sabotage the rookie with his sorry excuse for game plans. No more. Now, Matt Eberflus is no offensive guru, but he molded an elite unit on the defensive side of the ball in Indianapolis over 4 seasons, so I expect Chicago's success there to continue. Really, Chicago's success comes down to how Justin Fields matures in his 2nd season. I think that the kid definitely has a shot. Darnell Mooney just completed his first 1,000-yard season, and he has the talent to continue that ascension. He can stretch the field, and he gives defenders something to worry about over the top. With an offense that is built around the talents of Fields, David Montgomery's abilities in multiple facets, and Cole Kmet causing issues underneath, this offense could easily at least hold its own. Can the Bears do these things and put it all together? We shall see. And with that, we are gonna call it a day for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I really appreciate all of the support. It means everything to me, and I could not do it without you guys. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Avery Opatz, and we'll see you next time.